In a small town where cobblestone streets wind around every corner, there is a poor shoemaker who lives in a small, shabby house. His house is nestled under the shade of old trees, old but warm. Every day, he sits in front of an old wooden table, repairing worn-out shoes. His hands are calloused, but each movement carries skill and enthusiasm. The most special thing about this shoemaker is not his talent for repairing shoes, but the singing that comes from him every morning. His songs are not splendid or elaborate pieces of music, but simple melodies filled with joy. That singing is not just a sound, but seems to be a cool breeze blowing into the souls of passers-by. The villagers love him, not because the shoes are repaired like new, but because of the positivity he brings. He is not rich in money, but he lives a gentle and peaceful life. Not far away, a magnificent mansion stood tall, a symbol of the town's wealth. Its owner, a nobleman, possessed more wealth than he could spend in his entire life. But in that very mansion, every night, he tossed and turned on his large bed, eyes wide open in the darkness. He was afraid of thieves, of the fact that his wealth could disappear in the blink of an eye. Despite his wealth, he did not have a single moment of peace. One night, as the moonlight shone into his bedroom, he suddenly heard the shoemaker's singing echoing from afar. The melody, though simple, carried a genuine happiness that he had never felt before. How could such a poor man live so happily? His curiosity urged him, and the next morning he decided to visit the shoemaker. The rich man stood in front of the shoemaker's house, unable to hide his curiosity. Inside, the shoemaker was diligently repairing a pair of old shoes. Hearing a knock on the door, he looked up, a gentle smile on his face. "Hello, sir. How can I help you?" the craftsman asked. The rich man entered, his eyes scanning the simple room. There was nothing but old shoes, a small bed, and a few simple objects. He sat down, sighing. "You always seem so happy. What is the secret of your happiness in life?" The craftsman smiled, his eyes shining. "I have no secret, sir. I am happy because I have enough. My work brings me enough to eat, and that is all I need." The rich man frowned, unable to understand. How could someone with so little be happy, while he with so much was still unhappy? To find out, he decided to try something bold. "Take this money, my friend," said the rich man, placing a heavy bag full of gold on the table. "You work hard and deserve more. Use this gold to improve your life." The shoemaker was stunned. He had never seen so much gold in his life. He felt both elated and overwhelmed. "Thank you," he said, holding the bag of gold in trembling hands. But as night fell, a strange change began. His cheerful singing disappeared. Instead, he sat at the table, staring at the bag of gold. New worries filled his mind. What if someone found out he had the gold? What if a thief broke in? He hid the bag of gold under the floorboards, but the worry did not leave him. That night, he could not sleep. In the following days, his anxiety grew. He no longer sang while working. He no longer focused on repairing shoes. The once cheerful shoemaker had now become a thoughtful, suspicious man. Unable to bear it any longer, the shoemaker went to see the rich man one morning with the bag of gold. His face showed fatigue, but his eyes had a strange determination. "Sir," he said, placing the bag of gold on the table, "please take this gold back. Since I received it, I have lost my peace. I no longer sing. I feel happy. I would rather live a simple and happy life than carry this burden." The rich man was silent for a long time. At that moment, he realized something he had never understood before. With all his wealth, he still did not have what the shoemaker had just given up: freedom of mind. Finally, he nodded and said, "You have taught me an important lesson today. Happiness is not having much, but being content with what you have." The shoemaker left, his heart light, as if a burden had been lifted. When he returned home, he felt as if he had come back to life. He began to work, and his singing echoed throughout the town. That night, the song drifted into the great mansion. The rich man sat in his room, listening to the melody, and for the first time in many years, he smiled. After returning the bag of gold, the shoemaker found his voice again, as if he had just been freed from an invisible burden. His voice not only spread joy, but also evoked a simple but profound truth. Happiness does not lie in the amount of gold or property we own, but in the feeling of satisfaction with what we have. In modern life, amidst the constant cycle of ambition and pressure, how many of us have forgotten that sometimes a soft bed, a simple meal, or a sincere laugh is enough to make the heart feel at peace? The shoemaker's story is not just a story, but a gentle reminder. Happiness is always right here, if only we are calm enough to recognize it. Happiness does not come from wealth, but from satisfaction with what we have. Did you know that one of the richest kings in history, King Croesus of Lydia, was once called the richest man in the ancient world? He had so much gold that he ordered the construction of a road paved with gold to assert his power. But the strange thing is, when he lost everything in war, he uttered a sentence that history still remembers. Happiness is not having much, but knowing enough. Strange, right? Being a king, having the whole world in your hands, but still feeling lacking. So what do we, ordinary people with simple lives, need to be happy? Imagine, you have the latest iPhone, designer shoes, or a fancy car, but every night you go to bed, you worry about your bank debt, or fear that others are better than you. Sound familiar? Wealth is like a double-edged sword. It can make you feel okay for a while, but in the long run, it can easily turn into a burden if you don't know when to stop. The story of the shoemaker we just heard is not just a story of everyday life. It is a mirror reflecting our own lives. How many times have you felt jealous because others have big houses and nice cars, forgetting that you are living a healthy life, have a loving family, and have small but precious things? Think about it. What makes you smile happier? A luxury watch, or the sound of laughter with your loved ones at a family meal? The Greek philosopher Epicurus once said, "It is not the richest person who has the most things who is happiest, but the one who needs the least." This saying sounds counterintuitive, but it explains why people who live a minimalist lifestyle, or those who choose to live close to nature, often feel more peaceful. They are not burdened by material worries, and from there, they enjoy every moment of life. What do you think about this? Try to comment on what makes you feel fulfilled. Happiness is very simple, but it is also very difficult to grasp if you keep chasing after external things. Try once, stop, look at your life, and count how many things you have worth cherishing. It could be just the morning sunshine, a hot cup of coffee, or the smile of a loved one. If you find this lesson meaningful, please gently like this video to spread more good things to everyone. You don't know, but your like can also be a source of inspiration for someone who is looking for happiness. When the shoemaker returned the bag of gold to the rich man, he not only returned his wealth, but also returned the burden that weighed him down. At that moment, he realized a simple truth that not everyone understands. Peace is the most precious asset a person possesses, because you can have gold and silver, but if you toss and turn every night, worried about losing it, what meaning does that asset have? Happiness comes from satisfaction, but peace is where happiness is nurtured. So, have you ever wondered, how many times have you traded your sleep and your peace of mind just to chase after superficial things? Let's continue to discover why peace is a priceless gift that we need to preserve more than anything else. Peace is the most precious asset. Don't trade it for superficial things. Did you know? Emperor Marcus Aurelius, who ruled the entire Roman Empire, once said something surprising. The happiest man is he who has peace of mind, whether he has power or not. Just think, he was an emperor with unlimited power, but he valued peace above all else. Now look at yourself. Do we sometimes give up peace of mind just to chase after frivolous things, new things, too much work, or even recognition from others? Peace, it turns out, is something that many rich and successful people cannot afford. To be honest, how many times have you stayed up all night worrying about work, a toxic relationship, or simply worrying about what someone thinks of me? Do we sometimes trap ourselves in a spiral of pressure, of endless ambitions, only to exchange for external things that, in the end, do not bring a sense of fulfillment? Peace is like a soft pillow for the soul. You can have a royal bed, but if your mind is constantly worried, can you sleep well? The shoemaker, in the previous story, gave us a lesson worth pondering. Only when he let go of the bag of gold did he find his singing voice again. And you know, that singing voice is the expression of inner peace. Therefore, peace is not something we seek outside, but something we keep inside. Remember the words of His Holiness, the Dalai Lama. We cannot find peace in the outside world unless we are at peace within. This saying is a guiding principle for those who are tired of everyday worries. Have you ever wondered if today you let go of a little bit of expectation, a little bit of desire to possess, would you feel more relieved? Just imagine, instead of rushing to earn more money to buy an expensive item, you spend time sitting under the shade of a tree, listening to the wind blowing, or sharing a simple meal with your family. Isn't that true peace? Peace is not a luxury, but it is a precious thing that we need to preserve every day. Are you living with a peaceful soul, or are you trading it for frivolous things? Please share your thoughts in the comments section. Who knows, your story may be an inspiration for someone to find their peace. As we sit together and listen to these simple yet meaningful stories, we would like to express our deepest gratitude to you, the one who has taken the time to embark on this journey of awakening. You are not just an audience, but an important part of a loving community where we share, empathize, and spread good values. If today's story touches your heart, please gently press the like button to spread this positive energy to more people. Your share button can be the bridge, bringing peace and happiness to someone in need. And don't forget to leave in the comments section an inspirational quote that you love. Who knows, your quote might brighten someone's day. Life is beautiful when we know how to appreciate the simple things and share love. Thank you for being here and for writing meaningful things with us. See you in the next story.